Hey guys, it's Nia Leo from Day of the Lord YouTube channel, and let's get into today's message. There is a battle happening inside almost every human being, and most people don't even realize they are losing it. It happens in silence, nobody sees it. Not friends, not family, not social media, but every day millions of people wake up knowing what they should do and still avoid it. The alarm clock rings, and something inside whispers, stay comfortable. A person wants to pray but keeps scrolling instead, wants to change but delays it again, wants peace but keeps feeding the habit destroying them, and slowly the entire life becomes a cycle of knowing without becoming. Because one of the greatest enemies of human soul is not always evil, sometimes is resistance. Resistance is the invisible force that pushes people away from growth, away from discipline, away from purpose, away from God. It whispers things like, do it tomorrow, you're so tired, and one more distraction, one more scroll, and one more excuse. And most people obey those whispers for so long, they eventually mistake them for their own thoughts. That's why the modern people feel exhausted even when doing very little meaningful things, because resisting purpose drains the soul. The frightening thing about resistance is that it rarely destroys people instantly. It destroys them slowly, quietly, comfortably, one delayed decision at a time, one wasted day at a time, one ignored conviction at a time, until eventually people wake up years later wondering where their life went. Human beings spend their entire lives chasing happiness. As children, they think happiness is toys. As teenagers, attention, popularity, pleasure. As adults, money, success, relationship, validation. But eventually, almost everyone discovers the same painful truth. Nothing external can permanently satisfy an empty soul. Because the human soul was created for something deeper than comfort. That's why people can achieve success and still feel restless, still feel empty, still feel like something is missing. And maybe that feeling is not random. Maybe it's the soul crying out for something eternal. Because no amount of entertainment can replace peace, no amount of attention can replace purpose, and no amount of pleasure can replace God. Modern culture teaches people to avoid discomfort at all cost. But growth has always lived on the other side of discomfort. Prayer requires stillness, discipline requires sacrifice, healing requires honesty, transformation requires surrender, and most people would rather stay comfortable than truly change. That's why so many people remain spiritually stuck, not because they are incapable of change, but because resistance convicted them to stay where they are. Some people spend years waiting to feel ready, but readiness rarely comes first. Action comes first. A person doesn't become disciplined before they act. They become disciplined by acting repeatedly despite resistance. That's the battle, not perfection, but consistency. And maybe the saddest part of modern life is how many people are distracted away from their own soul. Constant noise, constant stimulation, constant entertainment, but almost no silence, no reflection, no prayer, no awareness of who they are becoming. Because distraction is powerful. If the enemy cannot destroy a person completely, sometimes he simply keeps them distracted long enough to destroy themselves slowly. The truth is, every human being is becoming someone. Every habit shapes identity, every repeated choice shapes destiny. Small decisions become futures. A lazy decision repeated daily becomes a wasted life. A fearful decision repeated daily becomes limitation. A distracted life repeated daily becomes emptiness. But small acts of discipline repeated daily can transform an entire soul. 10 minutes of prayer, one honest conversation, one act of courage, one day of resisting temptation, one moment of choosing purpose over comfort. That's how life begins changing quietly. And maybe God has been speaking to some people for a long time now. Not to the loud miracles, but through restlessness, through conviction, to the feeling that something in life is missing. Because sometimes dissatisfaction is not punishment, sometimes it's an invitation. It's an invitation to stop drifting, to stop wasting life asleep, to stop resisting the very things that could heal the soul. Most people spend their lives trying to escape discomfort, but maybe the life you truly want is hidden behind the resistance you keep avoiding. And maybe the real battle was never against the world. Maybe the real battle has always been inside you.